So basically, we're a botanical raw material supplier, ingredient supplier under the new FSMA rules. We're an ingredient supplier, botanical based, and we purchase, grow, and buy raw materials, botanicals, and bring them in their raw, what I call farm gate form, and value add and further process them down to what our customer specifics are. We have customers in many types of industries: the dietary supplement industry, the pharmaceutical industry, the cosmetic industry, distillery industry. So each product may go into a different industry as its end or finished product, so that may determine how we buy it, on the quality parameters that we buy it on, and also on the production, how it's produced, whether it's going to be a cut and sift or a powder or just leave it in the whole form. But really, we are a purchaser, and then we resell after we do value adding to our customers, who is always sold from us for further processing to another form. So we work with anybody who's interested or willing to grow herbs or woods grown herbs, anybody that's willing to really get out and do there and produce the raw material. We'll be glad to work with them from an educational point of view, from an experience point of view, and just teach them or help them learn what we're looking for in a finished product, give them our target goal. I've seen a lot of growers go out and harvest a really good product, a really good herb, and they mishandle it in their post-harvest handling. Their drying process is not proper. It doesn't happen fast enough, or it happens too fast, or it's too much sunlight, or not enough air circulation. It's just very important to get a good sellable product, to add value to your product as a raw material supplier, to make sure that you dry it properly. And then fresh material. Generally speaking, we did talk about the general ratio of fresh to dry is 3 to 1. 3 pounds of fresh material to 1 pound of dry. Now that'll vary a lot with the product, whether it's a root, a leaf, an herb, or a bark. And then the reason you want it dry, that's basically it stabilizes the constituents and it prevents it from further degradation and mold, possibility of mold or microbial contamination. And you look at that sometimes as a raw material supplier and you think, well, if I can dry it 3 to 1, I can get 3 times the money from a $3 item to a $9 item if I dry it. But then again, there's a lot of work that goes into getting a good dried item. So if you're going to do that, just make sure you know the parameters on how you're drying and how to dry it properly. And there's a lot of that. A lot of the drying technologies out there, back in the tobacco industry and some of the other industries, and the drying of raisins, a lot of things. But just make sure you do a good job if you're going to sell a dried product. Make sure it is properly dried. And as far as certified organic compared to wild certified, my personal opinion is I would rather see a product come out of a natural wild setting and be not necessarily pristine, but really be more wild and more natural than something grown certified organic that has been grown on tobacco ground that it may have had chemicals at one time further than 3 years ago. We sell some organic, and the same product we sell not organic. Depends on the customer, what they really want. If their product is 100% organic, then they have to have certified. But for me, as a beginning farmer, my opinion would just be to supply a good raw material, maybe grown without pesticides, because it is expensive to get all these certifications. Do cost money, effort, time, and everything. But for us, from our buying point of view, it really depends on what our customers specialize. If they have to have organic, then we have to look for that. But a majority of our products, as far as volume goes, are not organic. They are conventional. From a beginning person who has land and wants to get started in land, number one, the first thing I tell them to do is go out and do a good survey of their land. See what botanicals they have there. Know their companion plants. Know their environment. Know what grows in that area, and just encourage the plants that grow there. Don't try to bring a non-native into your environment and grow it here just because you say, oh, I can get a lot of money for this product. Grow what's native there, because you're going to have less and less inputs and less issues in the growing and production of it. And then again, I would definitely discourage anybody having to introduce any type of chemicals, pesticides, herbicides, weed control, anything in a woodland environment. It's not necessary if you do a good job. You've already got the microbials there. You've got the right environment if you pick the right crop that's already native there, and you just manage it well. You should not have issues. It's the monoculturing in cultivation in field cultivation that really brings in a lot of your problems. And I guess you can in a certain degree, but again, you have to look at the native, not the native habitat, but the native growth. I don't know if you call it, I call it colonies. For example, trilliums grow in colonies. They're growing thick colonies. You'll see a lot of them. Ginseng doesn't grow like that, so don't plant it like that. Ginseng grows, individual plants in there. Mayapple grows in thick colonies. It's a stoloniferous spreader. Grow it like that. Golden seal can grow in some tight areas, but give it space. And so you really have to look at each botanical and adapt how you're helping it spread and naturally propagate to the way it normally does. It's natural propagative methods.